Hello, we're at Metalworks Studio today, and we're going to be breaking down the song Shake from the album Latchford. So we're just going to go through a little bit of the arrangement of it and kind of show just how the song's put together, kind of isolate some different parts, and kind of walk through the process of how it's kind of all come together with all the instruments. So I think what we'll start by doing is just kind of starting from the beginning of the song and just kind of start breaking it down. So this intro is very different than the rest of the song, but I felt it needed something to lead into the rest of it, leading into that, where I thought like if we just came in with that big kind of punch, it would almost be too abrupt. So that's kind of where we're with that. So yes, maybe we pause it here. So I think what we'll do is we'll start by breaking down a bit of the rhythm section. And primarily, again, a lot of the things that I do are a lot of things that the influence of Motown or Stax Records, soul kind of music, I found is what the contrast between the guitar and the drums, and something I'm always very conscious of in the studio, and also when we play live, to really listen to the drummer and what beat my guitar is lining up with. And in this case, in a lot of the cases, it's on beat 2 and beat 4, primarily where the snare drum is, and that's where I kind of try to put my, my beat or the guitar chord that kind of lines with it. So maybe if we can just listen to a bit of just the drums and the guitar. So we'll just, as it goes in, So now leading into it. So if you hear, it's coming in on every beat with the snare drum, just to kind of give it a tighter sound. So that's something I always listen to. Again, the guitar is very kind of sparse here as well, and that just allows, again, when there's more instruments, you want your rhythm section to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter, a little more minimal sometimes. It allows the other instruments to kind of shine through and doesn't get in the way. I'm also playing in a higher register of the guitar, so it stays at the frequency of the piano and the bass as well. So that's always kind of like the core of it when we're kind of lining it all together. Using kind of a 2-5-1 progression here, which is back to the jazz, when I went to school in the jazz program. We had to play a lot of that. At one time I was playing a lot of trumpet, and it was a lot of just exercises using 2-5-1 progressions. That's kind of where that just idea came across, and it was something that was new that I hadn't done before in a song. So that's a little bit the theory of the chord progression here. So maybe we'll pause it here. The next thing we'll go through is, if we kind of bring it back to the beginning, is kind of, again, the contrast now between the strings, the violin, so there's 2 violins, viola, 2 cellos, and the horns, which again, in the horn section we have 2 trumpets, trombone, tenor saxophone, baritone saxophone. So again, 10 instruments kind of working together in this section. So you can see why it's very important for it not to be too busy in the other sections in the rhythm section, because there's already a lot going on. So the bigger your band gets, I find, the less everybody plays, because there's more people to contribute. So maybe if we can just listen to just the strings and the horns in this part, and we can see how they kind of do a bit of a call and response leading into each one of them. As one trails off, the other one picks up. So we'll give that a listen. So the strings carry on with a single note, but a call and response to each one. And then they join together. So that's a pretty common thing that I like to do with a lot of these parts, is kind of have a call and response, and then sometimes join together at the end just to get a little extra kind of boost. Now, again, they're staying out of the frequency levels. We have the strings that are in the higher register, or at least the violins and the viola, and then the strings are kind of in that lower register. But kind of contrast in terms of trumpets kind of play with the violins, and we have our lower instruments, like the cello is playing kind of with our trombone and our baritone saxophone. So we're getting a really nice blend of back and forth that keeps it kind of a nice full sound as we're going. So. And then I guess the next section, maybe if we go to the chorus. All right, and we'll kind of do a bit of the backing vocal. If we keep the lead vocals, backing vocals, and horns we'll do for this one. And this is, again, just using the backing vocals, a bit of a call and response where we're going back and forth, and then joining together at the end. So again, another thing I like to do, call and response, and then joining to kind of like giving this extra push at the end. So if we can give that a listen. 'Cause when you say, let me wrap my arms around you, ain't a promise that I'll never let go. When you say, yeah, I'm here to calm the fire, melt the worry, and soothe your soul. There we go. So again, you know, I changed the tone of my own voice, the lead voice, just a little bit to match in with the backing vocals, because you want to make sure that you get a really good blend. It's not about just singing the right note. It's about blending in with the other voices, right? So it's always something I try to be a little conscious of when I'm singing that lead line, to just do a slight adjustment tone-wise to kind of match in with them. And then maybe the last thing we'll do is just kind of, again, a lot of the stuff is taking the rhythm section out because it's a part that you're hearing. But in this case, there's so much more going on. That's why I kind of like to break down these other parts. So if we can kind of go right to the end where we have the end verse where the violins kind of come in. And again, we'll break it down to just lead vocal, backing vocal, horns, and strings. So this is a part where we're kind of, again, repeating the chorus several times. So in order to kind of keep it interesting and not to kind of just make it sound very repetitive, if I just sang the same thing 4 or 5 times in a row, it could get very repetitive if there wasn't change. So the horns and the strings and the backing vocals, it's a great way to kind of just keep building intensity as we're going. So we'll kind of give it a listen with that, and you can see even as we take out the rhythm section that there's still a lot of fullness, a lot of things that are kind of going on. So yeah, give it a listen. When you sing now, baby, oh yeah. So here we have the strings kind of going back and forth with my own vocal. And I've changed even the way I've articulated some of the lyric, just some additional change. And then this part at the end actually was just a line that I didn't plan on putting in the song. I was actually going to make it a fade out to the song. And we just recorded it, and then we just hooked it in. So that kind of gives you that kind of contrast of you know, how the instruments can be used, how they can, you know, kind of even evoke emotion and can add dynamic as we go in, and how they can kind of work together, kind of working back and forth or even blending together. And that's basically how we kind of get the sound that's on the record. So yeah, so that's kind of a short walkthrough of the arrangement of Shake. So hope you enjoy.